launch pad of the world. I think that's a really bold ambition, but I think it's an achievable one. In human spaceflight, and we've seen actually in these troubled times an increase in the budget for New Space India Limited. So we're seeing financial commitment and investment on behalf of the state. I think we're seeing the impetus in terms of commercial entities really looking to push on and create this commercial space industry. I think you've got a proven track record in launch of small satellites. I think that's going to really keep developing and keep bringing in sort of financial and hopefully technological benefits. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to discuss the way in which the commercial sector, in which non-binding agreements, and they all fit into this regulatory process that we see in national space laws, because I think that's the key to unlocking the private sector. Now, the focus I'm going to use today and the focus I'm going to have is, what are the regulators going to be having to think about? And I've picked a specific area which I think is an area which is going to be developing and which is going to move forward, because we know that there's the changing nature of geopolitics and international law. We know that the state is in a world of flux at the minute. COVID has created some terrible tragedies, but it is also creating some opportunities. I think commercial activity in all aspects of space is here to stay. I think downstream applications are revolutionizing our daily life. We only have to look at the ability for us to speak in this seminar like this. So I think we've got a number of other factors that we need to think about. I think increased military tension, the move towards explicitly recognizing space as a domain of war. I think the opportunity exists to de-escalate the security situation. And I actually think India is well placed to become a broker for the use of space as peaceful purposes, to really showcase their commercial and their industrial advantage. But I think there's also a problem in terms of the duality between the need to develop space and the use of space, and the problems we're seeing in terms of orbital debris and the inherent commercialization of space. Putting more stuff up there means that there's going to be more debris up there. So I think we have to be mindful of that. I think what I would advocate is a significant investment in monitoring the space environment, space situational awareness, space surveillance and traffic and data sharing. So I think we've got a whole range of challenges and opportunities which I allude to here. So what about the commercial context? I've spoken in general terms about the exciting opportunities. What exciting opportunities are there, and how are the regulators and how is national space laws going to need to adapt? Well, we've already talked about the launch market. We've already talked about India becoming the launch pad of the world, but there is a lot of competition out there. We've got a number of states who are looking to do that. I'm speaking from the UK. We have ambitions for a launch industry of ourselves, but we've got SpaceX, we've got Ariane, we've got the Chinese Aerospace and Technology Corporation, we've got Russia. There's a whole range of operators that are looking to do this. Where I think I think there's two areas where we're going to see real expansion, and we're already seeing real expansion. The rise of the so-called mega constellations, large collections of satellites operating in one harmonious mission. We've got Starlink, we've got OneWeb, we've got Kuiper. We've got a whole range of planned constellations to go up there as well. Where I think an opportunity exists, and if I was advising a nation to look for one particular area, it would be the technological challenges are fierce, but the rewards for extending the life of satellites and for cleaning up Earth's orbit, I think, are also quite significant. I think there's also opportunities in terms of remote sensing and non-Earth imaging. But I really do. I'm going to go back to my point. All of this is predicated on an understanding of the space environment. I don't think we can look to develop satellite servicing and active debris removal as a viable industry if we don't have greater space situational awareness and greater space surveillance and traffic tracking of the busy areas. So let's think about managing debris for a moment. Let's think about one of the things that a regulator is going to look at. The regulator has responsibilities, and I'm going to talk in just a minute about those responsibilities on an international level. But we've got these two notions, active debris removal against mitigation. So mitigation means limiting the creation of new debris, and it can usually be accomplished within mission design before entering operational service. I would say this is an area where regulators can act now to try and encourage as part of a licensing process. On the other hand, we have active debris removal, the removal of an existing space object from orbit such that it either burns up in the Earth's atmosphere or is placed in an orbit of little operational value. That's a definition from my good friend and fellow space lawyer, PJ Blount. So if we think about space debris, and if we think about space, how regulating we need to be very mindful of. The danger of aggravating the situation, as you can see from my graphics, this is not a risk-free game. The danger of creating more debris. And then we have the commercial questions. Who's going to pay for this? Are we going to go for polluter pays? Well, that's going to place a burden on countries who might well resist this. And I think another area that I would flag up for you is insurance models. This is going to be vital going forward. The development of a viable insurance market for both low Earth orbit and geostationary orbit is a real commercial opportunity. If you can get that right, you can unlock a huge amount of the space sector and make regulation really easy. Well, I say really easy, really manageable. So when a regulator's looking at licensing a new mission, and I'm thinking particularly of an experimental mission such as